This first episode of 90 Day Fiancé, I'll just warn you, was a lot of recap and flashbacks to the last season, and not too much in the way of new content, so I'm just going to be recapping the new stuff that they showed. So this season begins with everyone's favorite couple to love to hate, Anfisa and Jorge. Jorge is supposedly not with Anfisa anymore, and he says he wants revenge on her. Whether he'll actually muster up the courage to do anything is debatable though. Pedro and Chantal are still going strong, despite their family's issues. What's also still going strong is Pedro's family's obsession with getting that TV. Pedro and Chantal couldn't bring it on the plane, so they go to a shipping center to deliver the massive thing. I know how expensive international shipping is, and I took one look at this gigantic box and thought, oh, that's gonna be like $200 to send. That's crazy. But no, it's actually $1,000 to ship. My god, that's probably more than the TV itself. Even Pedro draws a line there and he agrees, okay, we'll just give them money for a TV. But for some reason, they let FedEx wrap this up before they asked how much it was going to be to send, so they do have to pay for them to pack it up. Nicole talks to her surprisingly normal friend Jessica. Asin's interview is soon, and Nicole wants him in the US ASAP. Nicole's friend hasn't even met Asin, but from what she's heard, she doesn't think they'll last. After Lewis got kicked out last season, rightfully so, Molly's lame ass went back on her word and let him back in. She asked Lewis to come back home after a few weeks. Like, come on, Molly, really? I think he made his intentions pretty clear. Lewis says her kids are wild, but he still wants to try to make the relationship work out. Molly says he should be saying, I will make the relationship work, not I will try, and she makes him repeat himself after her like the 5-year-old that he is mentally. Paola and Russ are still in Miami. Paola has recently learned that her grandma in Colombia has cancer and is very sick. She lived with her grandma when she was young, and they were very close. She says, I feel impotent when talking about her grandma, which I guess is a word that makes more sense in Spanish, because even Paola is not old enough for that yet. Anfisa is taking boxing classes, presumably to start domestically abusing Jorge again. Jorge is not giving her money, and Anfisa is more independent now. She got her driver's license and says she promotes products now, which probably means she sells fit tea on Instagram. She feels lonely and is living in Jorge's place, but without him there. Jorge goes to visit lawyers and says he might file for divorce. The lawyers say Anfisa is combative and will likely either fight him on it or milk him for his money. They suggest giving her a lump sum payment and shooing her off, and that the longer he waits to divorce her, the more annoying she's going to make it be. Nicole's mom asks Nicole what'll happen if Asin leaves her. Nicole sits there looking dumb as hell and says they haven't even discussed other options. Pedro calls his mom and tells her the TV cost $1,200 to send. He actually rounded up just a little bit, almost as if he predicted his mom still might want him to send it if it costs just $1,000. Chantal has to buy books for school, and Pedro probably has to pay for that cool rainbow gaming PC. So Chantal feels they shouldn't send them as much money, but Pedro's mom doesn't see this as a gift. She says, you owe it to me. I get that Pedro sees himself as breadwinner of their family since their dad isn't around, but a huge TV is really not a necessity. In fact, most of the things they ask for aren't necessities. They say their family's relationship with each other is non-existent since the wedding, just fake highs and buys. Pedro doesn't see Chantal's family either. His sister says, I don't want to see them either. Chantal feels disrespected. She understands Spanish and can hear what she's saying on the phone. David is still chronically jobless, so him and Annie go to pawn off some of their engagement jewelry. He gets $240, but it's not going to help much because Chris cut him off financially. He even gives them a lease, meaning the free firehouse rent is no more. Nicole is at her mom's house. She says it's because she needs to wake up early for Asin's interview tomorrow. 24-year-old who needs to stay at her mommy's house to wake up on time. That's nice. Obviously, her mom is the only one with responsibility here. Asin is not calling her. It's been 6 hours since the interview and nothing. May climbs on her mom while Nicole's whining. Lewis is apologizing for leaving Molly's kids, but it's already been a while. Seems like he's apologizing just for the cameras. Olivia, at 18, tells him to be an adult and not leave when things are difficult. She also doesn't believe him like her mom does. She's right, because Lewis says he will leave again if the children continue to annoy him, but he says this away from them and just to the camera. Jorge goes to eat with his friend Ramon. Ramon saw the tell-all of 90 Day Fiancé last season and says he heard Anfisa was escorting and had done webcamming. Jorge now says it was a lie, but the webcamming is definitely true. There's proof online of that. Ramon says she does do porn, but Jorge insists it's BS. Russ and Paola leave to go to Colombia to see her grandma. She thinks they will blame Russ for her not visiting thus far and tells him to prepare for their criticism. Azan finally calls after like 7 hours. He says he was at the embassy all day. He doesn't give much details at all, and then the signal goes away and he pixels out of the FaceTime. How frustrating. And that's all for this 2-hour episode of 90 Day Fiancé. Do you think Azam will get approved, and are Anfisa and George really broken up? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and subscribe to me if you like this video. And let me know if you want me to continue doing 90 Day Fiancé recaps.